Welcome back to Kivumbi 2017. It is the 26th of October. D-Day is here. Polling stations in the country opened just about 57 minutes ago, meaning Kenyans are allowed to go out and cast their vote to decide who will be the winner of the 2017 fresh presidential election. This amid the threat of an election boycott in the country, as opposition leader Raila Odinga withdrew from the ballot earlier this month, citing irregularities, saying this would not be a free and fair election. In the wake of the past 2 months, we have seen demonstrations by the opposition, anti-IBC demonstrations and no election campaigns in the country that have ended up with allegations of police brutality and excessive use of force in the country. Even in the midst of that, security deployment has been heavy in areas perceived to be NASA strongholds in the country, even as President Uhuru Kenyatta urges respect for all decisions for those who choose to vote and those who do not want to vote. Well, in studio with me this morning, Brian Mutie, who is a political analyst and a security expert as well. And we also have security expert Tilas Ochieng. Let me begin with you, Brian. The overall situation in the country. Many say it's it's too early to really set the pace for how the security situation will be in the country. But let's begin with what Acting Interior CS Fred Matiang'i had to say earlier this week in terms of preparation for this election, saying they've had to reinforce their deployment in areas perceived to be NASA strongholds in the wake of the boycott, but has also said security officers on the ground will deal with the situation as best as they fit, using the Penal Code, the Elections Act and the Public Order Act. In your view, have the prescriptions of these acts been used to the letter so far?
Yeah, somehow they have been used, somehow they have not been used. And if I can delve much on that, you can say that somehow they have been misinterpreted. And when you look at a situation where we are as a country right now, of course, you cannot avoid both sides of how to apply these particular acts of parliament. For example, there are situations you are likely to apply minimal forces, or minimal force for that matter, and the situations where as security organ you are forced to use excessive force because of the circumstances under which you are finding yourself into. But I want to say that right now, Michelle, as we are talking, of course, this early morning, of course, you could see, the situation is a little bit stable. The levels of tranquility are very high, owing to the fact that at least there were some sentiments actually putting some caveat unto the followers of NASA not to be chaotic, not to actually come out in the streets to demonstrate or to destroy property or to harm any person who is actually being perceived to be supporting the other wing. And therefore, that seems to have actually played, that seems to be the card that has played the trick, in the sense that at least you could see the areas which we all anticipated to wake up and see, bonfires like Migori, Siaya, Kisumu, being very calm and very peaceful, and of course police having just their quiet day, just relaxing. And that shows that power of word is actually very powerful compared to the power of their chest. Because as you can see right now, if the statements by the NASA leader is anything to go by, then I think most of the followers have heeded his call, and they are actually perhaps waiting for the next move. Although yesterday I anticipated something more tangible, something more solid to come from the NASA leader, but that never happened, other than just the normal, rhetoric of telling people to boycott some products. That perhaps made the icing on the cup. And the other one, of course, transforming now the outfit from NASA to a national resistance movement, although that to some pundits, of course, is a recipe to more chaos, because, of course, if you go by the history of how NRM actually applied its, used its approach to gain power, then you can find it was unorthodox, guerrilla-like, and if that's a kind of methodology or approach that NASA and NRM, so to speak, is is going to adopt, then I think we are supposed to prepare for worse times or dark days in this country.
And we'll get to Raila Odinga's decision as supporters to stay away from the polls and not to demonstrate today. But tell us, what would you say would be the priority for security officers today? Because there is a lot going on in terms of polling, the security of ballot material to begin with. Yesterday we saw a clip of ballot material being deployed to Migori County, something that caused quite a debate on social media, considering the manner in which it was being done. What is the priority for security agencies today?
Michelle, currently what we're having is a political challenge, and it can easily escalate if our security organs does not act into measure. Like as you go through the current election, the one Matiang'i brought last time, I believe it's purely civic education to our citizens of the country. They have not been educated what those laws in terms of how to manage the situation that is happening currently right now. So I would like also to condemn the police brutality that is happening. 6 to 10, if I can rate, I don't blame the police so much, but I also blame the police so much because if you look at those laws, it covers demonstrators and violent riots. So it's generally, if you provoke a police will also provoke you.
Right. I mean, but it also says that action and reaction must be equal to some point. I mean, there's been many questions of whether me throwing a stone at a police officer would warrant a live bullet on my chest.
At the beginning, I said we were in a panic mode. As a human being, someone who is following rules, I'm following my political leader rules that don't vote today. And if you subscribe to that rule and you see a police in your area and you are already told that don't vote, we are totally in a panic mode. And trust me, if the only people who are going to manage the situation is our political leaders and the state organs. And for the state organs, security state organs, I believe and I want to trust them that they need to follow the clear laws. Killing people, if someone throws a stone to you, it not necessarily means that you have to shoot a live bullet, because I believe if the protester or the current Mwananchi, if it throws a stone and you react to shoot the bullet, it's going to escalate and is going to cause more harms.
All right. Brian, politically, how is the security situation in the country going to affect the number in the ballot? Because that's what the Jubilee Party has largely been rallying for. In the midst of the panic and the division in the country, for the past 6 months or so, we've seen tensions flare up, with many fearing chaos and what happened in 2007. Let's take a situation in NASA strongholds, what is perceived to be NASA strongholds. What does it do for the ballot, for those who do not want to come out and cast a vote for fear of being seen that they have cast a vote in an area which is largely boycotting this election?
Absolutely. In fact, you can say that there might be some Jubilee sympathizers in areas which are perceived to be NASA strongholds, such as Migori, Kisumu. Of course, there are Kikuyus, there are members from Kalenjin community who perhaps would come out because of course, Kenya is ethnicized in the sense that we vote, along those tribal lines. And therefore, you might find that there are some pockets here and there in those perceived strongholds whom would want to vote for the other side, but are afraid of, coming out to vote. And if somebody comes out to vote right now in Kisumu, of course, definitely it'll be perceived or taken to have voted for Uhuru. And so he might be taken as a traitor. And that has its own overbearing, it has on its ramifications, and thus matters of security. And therefore, people might even stay away, having genuine, need to vote, but they are afraid of the repercussions. So what I'm trying to say that the areas which if the clips that we have seen are anything to go by, the areas which are looking volatile are the areas of the 4 counties that have been earmarked or mapped as hotspots, and that's Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay, and Migori. And if you look at the other parts of the country, which are also strong NASA strongholds, such as Ukambani, if you look at the situation right now, there's nothing to worry about. People are calm, people are going by their usual business, and therefore it shows that the country is still torn between some indifferences. While one part of NASA is actually totally boycotting the situation, another part of the NASA stronghold is not fully boycotting, because I've actually seen some voters actually lining up in good numbers substantially in Kitui County and also in Makueni, and that says something that the voter of 2007 is not the voter of today. Perhaps we have seen the levels of awareness, the consciousness, the democratic consciousness rising to a level where perhaps people are applying some political tolerance, and that's good, something good. But again, this kind of intolerance where somebody cannot leave the hardline stance that he had 20 years ago all the way to now, I think it's something that has to be addressed through some sort of advocacy and policy also.
All right, let me hold it there. Let's continue taking a look at the situation all across the country. Michael, what's happening?